You probably think you know Leonardo da Vinci, the guy of the Mona Lisa, the artist, the Renaissance genius. But there is a part of the story that almost no one tells, the side of Leonardo that designed machines to kill, destroy, and terrify. The same man who released birds into nature also drew devices capable of cutting soldiers in half. Today, you will discover the 9 dark inventions that he wanted to erase from history.
The name Leonardo da Vinci carries an image of lightness, art, science, beauty. But in 1482, this same man took a sheet of paper and wrote a letter to the Duke of Milan, offering his services as a war engineer, not as a painter, as a builder of weapons. What came out of this decision was a set of projects so disturbing that Leonardo himself, years later, began to hide some of these ideas in his personal notebooks. Projects that remained locked away for more than 200 years. Let's open these notebooks now.
Leonardo lived with a constant problem. There was a lack of money and a lack of prestige. Florence had become too small for him. Without sponsors and without stability, he made a decision that would change everything. He sold his talents to war. And once he entered that world, he could no longer stop inventing things that humanity was not yet ready to see.
Number 1. The Great Beast. The first thing Leonardo delivered to the Duke of Milan was a weapon the size of a 2-story building. Literally. It was called the Great Beast, and it was a giant crossbow with 6 wheels, 3 on each side, so it could move across the battlefield. The bow was made of fine wood, designed for maximum flexibility. And the goal was not just to hit the enemy, it was to make the enemy panic even before the shot. Leonardo understood something that most engineers of the time did not understand. War is as much psychological as it is physical. A weapon of that size, just by appearing on the horizon, would already break the morale of the enemy army. The problem is that there is no evidence that this thing was actually built. Leonardo's notebooks contain the complete design, but no record that anyone assembled it. It was too big, too expensive, and too complex for the technology of the 15th century.
Number 2. The first machine gun in history. Reloading a cannon in the 15th century took time, a lot of time. You fired once and then stood still for minutes trying to prepare the next shot, while the enemy advanced. Leonardo saw this problem and created what would be remembered as the first machine gun in history, centuries before the word existed. The project became known as the 33-barrel organ, and the nickname comes from its resemblance to church musical instruments. There were 3 rows of 11 muskets mounted on a rotating platform. While one row fired, another was reloaded. Then the platform rotated. The result was a continuous rhythm of shots, something the armies of the time had never faced. Leonardo created this project about 300 years before the official record of the first modern machine gun. Think about that.
Number 3. The Scythed Chariot. This one is simple and brutal at the same time. Leonardo wanted physics to fight for the soldiers, so he designed a chariot with rotating blades on the sides, driven by the speed of the horses themselves. The faster the horses ran, the faster the scythe spun. According to his records, the idea was simple. The blades at the front would cut through any line of infantry that tried to block the advance, and the blades on the sides would protect the driver from attacks from behind. It was a machine designed to force its way through by brute force. But like the Great Beast, it probably never left the drawing board. The records exist in ink and watercolor, but with no evidence of a prototype or real use.
Number 4. The War Tank. Leonardo was not satisfied with designing only attack vehicles. He wanted something that could not be destroyed.
So he drew an iron tank shaped like a turtle, a mobile fortress capable of housing up to 8 men inside and firing in all directions at the same time, 360 degrees. The idea was to automate the battle itself. The tank would advance on its own, break enemy formations, and protect the soldiers inside while attacking from the outside. It was a revolutionary concept for the 15th century. But there is a detail that intrigues historians to this day. The tank's gears were drawn backwards. If you tried to start the mechanism, the wheels would turn in opposite directions and the tank would not move. Many researchers believe Leonardo did this on purpose, a silent sabotage to ensure that no one would use that creation for evil.
Number 5. The first robot in history. Around the end of his life, Leonardo received a request from King Francis I of France to create something that would impress the court. And what Leonardo delivered was a mechanical lion, an automaton driven by gears and springs that could walk through the halls of the palace and move its head while walking. When it reached the right destination, a compartment in the lion's chest would open and reveal a fleur-de-lis, symbol of the French monarchy. It was art and engineering at the same time. This was done 400 years before the word robotics was invented. The lion caused enormous controversy in the French court because people simply could not understand how something made of iron and wood could move as if it were alive. And the most intriguing part, the real mechanism of this invention was lost. No one, to this day, knows exactly how it worked inside.
Number 6. The obsession with the skies. Leonardo was certain that humans could fly, but he made a logical mistake at the beginning. He thought that birds flew only by flapping their wings, so he created the ornithopter, a machine where the pilot lay face down, using arms and legs to flap mechanical wings. The result was a complete failure. Human muscle strength would never be enough to lift both the pilot's body and the weight of the machine. But Leonardo did not give up. He observed the birds again, this time more carefully, and realized something different. It was not the flapping that created flight. It was the curved geometry of the wings creating a difference in air pressure. With this understanding, new projects were born. A glider, and then what became known as the aerial screw, a direct precursor of the modern helicopter. The structure rotated in a spiral, like a screw penetrating wood, creating lift. Modern engineers tested models on a small scale and confirmed that the concept generated real lift, although it was not capable of truly flying with the technology of the time. Leonardo also designed a parachute with a pyramidal structure in linen stretched over a wooden frame. Modern tests confirmed that the design would work if it were built. He imagined safe descent before imagining controlled flight.
Number 7. The mastery of the waters. In 1500, Leonardo was in Venice, the city built on water. And while he was there, he designed something that no one had imagined before. The first diving suit in history, developed specifically for stealth attacks on enemy ships from beneath the sea. The project never left the drawing board, but it was complete in his notebooks. The suit would be made of leather, with a mask that covered the entire head. At nose level, 2 cane tubes joined by leather straps and reinforced with metal wires would form a primitive snorkel. A float attached to the snorkel would keep the air intake always above the water while the diver moved along the bottom. At the time, divers were already used in military operations, but they were limited by how long they could hold their breath. Leonardo wanted to solve that.
Number 8. Military city. At a certain point in his life, Leonardo went to work for Cesare Borgia, one of the most feared and violent men in Renaissance politics. It was this same figure who would later inspire Niccolo Machiavelli to write The Prince, the book that analyzes power without any moral illusion. For Borgia, Leonardo designed something unprecedented,
the first concept of a military city planned with a complete strategic view of the territory. He created maps with an aerial perspective that would only truly be seen centuries later with satellites. He designed river control systems capable of deciding entire wars by flooding or drying strategic regions. He designed mobile bridges for rapid assembly for moving armies. It was a laboratory of war seen from above. But the more Leonardo worked for Borgia, the more he felt he was moving away from everything he was. After just 1 year, he left.
Number 9. Anatomy. After witnessing so much brutality in the service of Borgia, Leonardo made a surprising decision. He wanted to dedicate himself to beauty. It was at this moment that he began to paint the Mona Lisa. But for Leonardo, that painting was not just art. It was a scientific experiment on perception, facial geometry, and how light behaves on human skin. And at the same time he painted, he entered a phase of research that could have changed medicine centuries earlier. With access to human cadavers through a professor named Marcantonio della Torre, Leonardo spent years dissecting bodies in silence, illuminated by candles, inside hospitals. There were about 20 cadavers examined layer by layer. At a certain moment, he dissected a 100-year-old man who had died peacefully, without pain. When examining the heart, he saw that the arteries were narrowed and the flow blocked. Leonardo came to the conclusion that natural death could occur when the heart stops receiving enough blood. This description corresponds exactly to what modern cardiology calls coronary insufficiency. He also observed the spine and realized that it was not straight, as everyone believed at the time. It had an S-shaped curvature that functioned as a natural shock absorption system against gravity. To study the heart in depth, he created a controversial experiment. He filled the interior of an animal heart with melted wax, let it harden, and removed the surrounding tissue, obtaining a perfect three-dimensional mold of the internal cavities. From this mold, he realized that blood does not flow in a straight line inside the heart. It moves in a spiral, forming vortices. Modern cardiology would only confirm this observation almost 500 years later. During 4 years, Leonardo and Marcantonio produced about 200 pages of anatomical studies that could have revolutionized medicine far ahead of their time. But a plague epidemic struck the region in 1511. Marcantonio died. Leonardo lost access to the hospital. The great medical encyclopedia they were building remained unfinished forever. Years later, when he went to Rome, Leonardo continued his research at the Santo Spirito Hospital. He wrote about the vocal cords, the blood system, and the uterus, topics considered dangerous by the church. He even suggested that a newborn would be connected to the mother's soul, not having its own soul. Ideas like this could be judged as heresy. 2 men who worked near his workshop began spreading rumors that he practiced magic and blasphemy. The Pope grew impatient. Access to the hospital was permanently forbidden.
In 1516, Leonardo left Italy, taking his notebooks to France. 1 year later, he suffered a stroke that paralyzed his right hand, the same one that had painted the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper. He continued drawing with his left hand until the end. On May 2, 1519, at the age of 67, Leonardo wrote one of the saddest sentences in the history of science. He said that he felt he had disappointed God and humanity for not having done everything that was possible. The man who designed tanks, robots, divers, and helicopters centuries before they existed, who discovered the spiral flow of blood and the curvature of the spine, died believing that he had failed.
Leonardo's notebooks remained hidden for more than 200 years. When modern scientists finally studied them, they were in shock. Discovery after discovery, they realized that he had anticipated things that humanity would only confirm centuries later. Today, people hear the name Leonardo da Vinci and think of the Mona Lisa. But hidden in those notebooks was a war tank, a machine gun, a robot, a diving suit, a parachute, a helicopter, and a perfect description of how the human heart works, all created by a single man who, at the end of his life, believed he had accomplished nothing.
If you made it this far, you will really like the next video as well. Don't miss it.